Thank you. Thank you again.
Later. Enjoy yourself.
Hey.
How you doing?
Good.
It's nice to see you.
Good to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Tell people who are diagnosed is like, yes, it's really difficult now, but there is hope. And there is just as fulfilling of a life, and there's people that come into your life that never would. You learn to do things differently, but it's a hard, amazing, and sometimes exhilarating journey.
Yeah.
One day I was going down the street and I was in my neighborhood, so I knew it well, but I was just looking at all the things and just noticing the things I could no longer see anymore. And then it was like, it hit me like, well, what can you see? And all of a sudden I look around and I was like, well, I see that house and I see this. And then I look down and I was like, I see bird poop. And it was I was so excited to see bird poop, but it reminded me of all the things that I could still see and not to take that for granted anymore. So that was one of the moments where it changed my perspective of not looking at all the things I can't do, but still appreciate the things I can.
He knew that I was blind, and he said, "Oh, we get to skip the line at the airport." That was when I first got diagnosed, so it was a little hard on me. I got a little offended, but I grew up to realize, you know what, we all are gonna have different issues in life. For us, it may be blind, or for me, it may be my stomach and my lungs now, or we're all gonna have, I'm gonna be probably 20 years older than your mom tomorrow. Time flies by. And time is short, and we're all gonna go through some sort of illness at some point. You have to have fun. You got, and like, seeing the smile on your face. And your name was, I didn't get you on film yet. Your name was Eden.
Yeah.
Yes. And then what mutation do you have?
I have 3460.
Okay. And then what mutation do you have, Nancy?
I have 11778.
Sweet. And I have 14484. So we have I think the three main mutations here. But there's a lot of other small mutations that other people have that need to be noted as well. But I think they're the three most common. And is there, Nancy, do you guys know, aren't our three the most common mutations?
Yeah. I think
cool.
178 is the most common of them. And 3460.
I have the most common mutation.
Yeah.
The classic.
I'm for curing all mitochondrial diseases because I feel like there's a snowball effect with some of them. In the mitochondria, we have that mtDNA, and then we have the different ND6, ND4, and they're like neighborhoods. So there's so many ways to go about this, and what y'all's, having LHON, how do y'all feel about the future of mitochondrial diseases? I'll start with you, Eden, and move to Nancy.
I think the more rare diseases get attention, the more there will be some hope for more conditions, diseases.
Yep.
The question is how will, I guess, the science community tackle that?
I don't know much about science. I am not a doctor. I am not a researcher, and I'm so thankful for them. I'm just a loudspeaker, and I'm just someone who's trying to bring awareness so that maybe more funding, maybe more people talk about it. And also, I think it's so important to study the mitochondria because it has to do a lot with metabolic conditions, neurodegenerative conditions, and aging. And so this relates to everyone, and there's a lot of people that have mitochondrial disorders and diseases, and they don't even know it. And so, and Nancy made an extremely good point earlier about how a lot of people, they may not realize they have a mitochondrial issue, and everybody that's what it was. Everybody that I've talked to, they don't even know what LHON is. Right. And yet we're in the community, and sometimes we're in certain groups, and we're surrounded in people that have the disease, and we forget that, the common person they don't hear about this,
I didn't know about it before I was diagnosed.
Me either.
I had never heard of it myself. No. I did not even know. I knew the typical thing about mitochondria, that it is the powerhouse of the cell. And, so
we learned that in biology in 8th grade. Yep.
So, it's been a learning process, and just to see how much the mitochondria affects everything, and to realize that how keeping it out, the things you don't realize when it malfunctions, everything goes, you can go blind, and your life will change. And so understanding the mitochondria, I think, will not only, as the research goes, it will not only affect LHON, but a lot of other diseases as well. So raising awareness really helps further, not only for LHON and other mitochondrial diseases, but for the health, public health as well. I mean, a lot of other diseases as well. And so
yeah, Nancy, I wanted to thank you. So you are a part of the grants team.
Yes.
And Nancy is doing a lot in the community, and I've seen her name here and there pop up, and it's blessed to meet you. And so she's visually impaired, and she's doing all this work, and I just want to thank you personally.
Oh, thank you. So. Yes, the LHON Collective is doing it right now. We're preparing for a conference, but they also, and so any support
When's
for that.
The conference?
It is in April, I believe it is April 29th through May 1st of 2027 in San Diego, California, and it's going to be an incredible time for those with LHON to get resources and information and connect with each other. The connection is so important. And so we hope to get at least 200 people and their families to come together and support each other and learn. And you have people who are newly diagnosed and come and you find out that you kind of feel like you connect with a family when you get together. And so we're super excited about having our own conference for the first time. But there's also the LHON Collective also works to further research, and so that's another thing that.
Yeah. So all doctors, researchers, you're welcome too.
So that is another incredible thing that they raise money to further medical research, working with that, and so there's an incredible team out there that is. Really exciting prospects in the future for LHON and mitochondrial disease.
Yeah, that's super well said.
I think it's also important to say that I think LHON is one of the most, or if not more, common mitochondrial diseases. And so if there's an ability to kind of find breakthroughs with LHON, then there's definitely an ability to find breakthroughs with all the other mito diseases. It's important to do so.
Yes, that's super well said, and I completely agree, and that's what's inspired me. I figured some people would ask me, they said, well, why aren't you just walking for LHON? And I would say, as much as I want to cure my disease, that's there, but at the same time, these all relate, and struggle is struggle no matter where you go in different ways. And so for me, it was, well, how could I get more awareness? And if all these things relate, I think it's important, and I'm going ahead, and every donation that I receive, I audit them, and I post on my social media where the money goes. We've already made, I think, almost in the first 10 days, almost $200 to the LHON Collective, and we've made a lot of other donations to a doctor out in Washington D.C. named Carmelo. We made a donation to their lab. We've also made who else have we made donations to? We made donations to the UMDF as well, and I'm formulating a new list right now, and that's going to include a few other groups, and one of them would be the Liam Foundation out of Canada. I got to talk to Kevin, and he was a phenomenal human being. His son has Pol G, and so it's important to include everyone. And I think when you start curing these things and you start bringing awareness and you include all the diseases related to mitochondria, work is done quick, people talk, and things happen. Yeah, and our food just got here, so we're gonna put this on a little pause, and holy cow. It's a lot. So I want y'all to know, so I've noticed in the community that there's a lot of people that they have other symptoms, and there is an LHON plus group. You don't want to label every issue you have as LHON.
Yeah.
Now it may be that, I don't want people to think, okay, I'm not saying that it's not, but I think you should do two things. You should go, and correct me if you think I'm wrong, but I think that if you have other symptoms while you have LHON, and I think it's important to investigate everything you can, but also investigate everything you can on the LHON side. You do both at the same time, because I would say it'd be a frustrating thing to overlook something like cystic fibrosis or something like that and then and say, oh, that's just LHON. That's just LHON, and then you have something else, and you missed it, and now you're in a kind of a critical condition. So I stand on both sides of that. Research the LHON side, but also do everything you can with your insurance and your country or in your. I know Canada they have free healthcare, so do everything that you can do to investigate your health. And that's something that I'm going to do when I get back. I have a lot of lung issues. I have sleep apnea. My stomach, I have gastroparesis, so I eat generally vegan and vegetarian. And my lungs last night, they stopped while I was sleeping, and it was miserable. And my dream started to get really vivid, and I woke up kind of gasping. So I have more investigative research to do too. Now I've met a lot of people that have my mutation that have these issues as well, and I was recommended a BiPAP machine, and so so it's I got a lot of more investigative research to do. But I think
that's part of it too, is that a lot of like LHON, it could lead to kind of taking care of other symptoms. Like there's more to it that a lot of people don't know. There's a lot of research that science and scientists don't know about what symptoms are a part of LHON as well.
But the mitochondria is in every cell, and it does affect the whole body. So I think I don't think I've ever met someone with LHON that didn't have either headaches or didn't have depression or anxiety, and maybe that's just from having the disease and dealing with life. But I think you should just investigate it all.
But and I think a lot of doctors don't bring up the other symptoms issues. They just see it as kind of a blind disease.
Yeah.
And so I really, really wish there was an emphasis when I got diagnosed, for example, on the headaches part of it, or on other symptoms that could accompany it that are related to like energy deficiency.
Do you have any other?
Yeah, so I have headaches. There are phases throughout the year where I can have headaches up to twice a week, if not more. I have tremors, which I'm suspecting is part of like the energy deficiency. And so hypermobility, I can go on and on. I just don't have it off the top of my head.
No, you're making a good point.
But yeah, those are some of them, and potential maybe even heart issues. Who knows?
Yeah.
Well, as a woman, the other thing that you get is that everybody considers it hormonal. Like, if you have symptoms and you're like, I'm getting migraines, and they're like, oh yeah, it's probably just hormones. And, but not taking into consideration could it be related? Yes, but I think there is a dismissiveness that is hard to cope with when you're dealing with medical professionals or anything, that not understanding mitochondrial disease or understanding LHON or anything like that. That makes it sometimes doesn't make you feel good when you're in the medical offices and stuff like that. So things that they can't explain, they'll just say, okay, well, here's a medication.
Dismissed for it?
Or they'll just throw a medicine on it. Like, we're going to treat the symptom.
Yeah, and then most of the medication, they don't even know that you can't even take it.
So then you have to go back and do your research and say, can I even take this? And so it's definitely something you have to be your own advocate and do a lot of your own research, and at the same time trying to trust your doctors for your, they are smarter than you still, but you have to understand. It's hard to find somebody who understands the complexity of everything.
Yeah, and that makes a good point. I think I think it's important to we're not doctors, and they are educated, and we really do respect the pharmaceutical industry and the doctors, but at the same time, us as people with mitochondrial diseases, we've also had to be, maybe y'all would agree, kind of our own doctor a little bit to make sure that I was prescribed antibiotics I couldn't take, and they knew the disease I had. I was put on cortisol steroids when I was diagnosed, which I couldn't do for months. I was get multiple. What I'm saying is get multiple opinions and talk and reach out to people. There's actually a list. Maybe I'll include in the description. There's actually a list with every single thing that may or may not affect LHON and other mitochondrial diseases. Then there's a list of antibiotics, smoke, just all the different risk factors and stuff like that. So, but this is all really important. Yeah, and for me, like, I'm always nervous. I'm gonna be honest. Every person I talk to, I'm nervous. My energy is always fluctuating, and especially when I eat. And I personally had 2 stroke-like episodes. Been to the hospital 3 times this year. Sometimes I'm a little nervous wreck, and I'm really excited and I'm really happy. And this has been some of the best times of my life. But I deal with that too, and I don't know where that all comes from. So yeah, eating's a part of life. So what was your question? So it was how can
it affect you, like, other than like your eyesight? How can it affect your like energy level?
So I think it's a little bit different for different people, and that would be a good question to ask some of the doctors in the community and researchers. It's very different among people. For me, when one thing I do know is that when I eat, I have a hard time focusing and keeping eye contact. But when I'm on an empty stomach, I think that's because I think that the digestive system uses a lot of energy. And I think it actually is around 20 to 25%. So when I eat too much, I'm definitely, my lungs start to get tight. I get heart palpitations. That's why I don't really eat a lot of meat and stuff. But it's different. I know people with LHON that they can eat a whole steak and it's different, but they have really bad headaches and and that may be different mutations, like, how me and your mother but this is why there needs to be more awareness, and this is why because a lot of these questions we really don't know, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and there's something nice about awareness is like when we get to, you don't know that many people, but you might say, I have the symptom, and then you're like, oh, me too, and you realize, you've been battling this symptom and trying to deal with this symptom, but when you kind of realize it's all part of it, it's like, there's some relief to it, that just knowing that, this is part of it. And so what they've done for it is like, that can help me. I've taken this medication and this has helped me. And I've used some of the information that I've learned in the community to take to my doctors and say, this is common and this is what somebody has prescribed for them. And I said, so I'd like to try this. So I think that's one where awareness and the community can really help when you're trying to determine your medical condition.
Hey, Nancy, I have a question for you. So, also, isn't it less common in women? Do you know that statistic? Is that true? Because I've met a lot of women with it, from Lisa Mito.
There's a lot of women in our community. In fact, we have a group that's only the LHON affected women, and so I think as they have done more genetic testing and everything, and they're still doing a lot of more research, but years ago it was considered something that males dealt with, and then so what also happens though is that it takes a lot of times it takes a lot longer for a woman to get diagnosed because the doctor's dismiss it. Well, it can't be that, even though you have presenting symptoms, so they test you for everything else before. But yes, I think there's probably underreported cases in women.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Especially among carriers, I suspect that a lot of the LH1 plus symptoms are present.
What'd you say, sorry?
A lot of the LH1 plus symptoms are present in the carriers.
Yeah.
Where I was just experiencing vision loss, was hoping it wasn't a big deal or anything like that. Finally got in. My ophthalmologist says, you need to really see a neuro-ophthalmologist. So I saw this guy for the first time, and he did the how many fingers am I holding up, looked into my eyes and something, and then he started scheduling tests, and he said, well, not much time at all, and not a lot of conversation or anything. And he says, well, it could be one of 3 things. You could either have a brain tumor, an aneurysm, or MS. Oh my God. And I started to cry, and this is the point where I'm like, this is where I still think I just need glasses, right?
Yeah.
And so
I remember that point.
And I said, couldn't it be something simple? And he said, you're going blind. It's not simple. And he turned around and left.
Wow. Like, deal with it. Us in the mitochondrial community can relate to that.
Yeah. I was like, oh, well. After a while, I started to appreciate his bluntness because I knew I could trust it. Like, he wasn't going to sugarcoat anything.
That's like Dr. Caramello. He's very blunt. We love it.
I love the bluntness.
And when he told me something good, I was like, I knew it was like, I can really hold on to that. And so, yeah.
That was good. Sheldon. I have LHON 14484. It's a mitochondrial mutation in the mtDNA, and I'm walking from Texas to Canada for mitochondrial disease awareness, doing it for all mitochondrial disease, which relate to neurodegenerative diseases, metabolic conditions, and a lot of other things. And it's something that also relates to aging, and it relates to everyone, and research on these things can really make a difference in the world, and maybe even in the tech world in the future. This is Jake, and I always say her name. Yeah. So sorry about that. She is from Brazil, and I guess I'll start with you and just ask. Jake had a son that was one of my best friends growing up, and so tell me a little bit about that, Jake.
Sure. Well, yeah. Thanks for being here, Sheldon. And first, I just want to start off by saying I'm really proud of you for what you're doing and bringing awareness to this cause. And I know you don't take compliments well, so that's why I'm doing that. I'm really proud of you. And the fact that you're my son's, one of his closest friends, means a lot to me. So I just want to say it means a lot to me that you're here. It's almost like having Jacob again around. So Jacob, unique character. I love my son to death. He was a character that was blessed for 23 years of his life. You guys went to school together. I think it all started probably in third grade and throughout high school. And I heard about some of your shenanigans. My son was a rebellious young man. I don't know where you got that from, because I was never like that. But it's funny. He used his predisposition, being on a ventilator and a wheelchair, to his advantage, and he had somebody like you to motivate him. But needless to say, so Jacob had a neuromuscular disorder with unknown etiologies. So they really could not diagnose him, but they did several gene studies, muscular studies, and come to find out he did have a mitochondrial disorder of sorts, paralyzed diaphragm, a weakness in his hips, his trunk, his neck. And he pretty much, of 23 years of his life, he was on his ventilator probably 21 of those years. And as he got older, it was harder for him to get around as he grew. But unfortunately, he took a fall by accident with his nurse, and he suffered a severe brain hemorrhage, and he died at the age of 23. And so, one thing I can say about Jacob, he still exists in all of us, and I truly believe it, and he's with you in this mission of yours. And just having you around makes me feel like he's back. So it's just powerful, all the stuff that you're doing, and even just I guess now knowing what you're doing in this quest of yours, I almost feel like a father figure to you, because I wonder, what are you doing? I mean, with your predisposition as well, and taking on this big task, and I'm here for you. And if you need me to come out to North Dakota to walk with you when it's cold, I'll be there.
I guess, how did y'all meet real quick? And then what I know that you've done interview stuff as well, and she would probably be the expert when it comes to interviews. So yeah, tell me a little bit about yourself and how you met Jake, and what you think of my walk. And,
I think that's the most important thing.
Yeah, and that is,
I don't want to make this about me.
Yeah.
I want to make this about your awareness and what you're doing. So I do some work with the women and trying to empower them and trying to, make them love themselves the way they are. And that's pretty powerful. So that's what I do. But I want to, the same way Jake said, and I think it's important also for you to kind of, remember we talked about parents and how I think Jake has a great input in his beginning until his whole journey with Jacob. But myself, I work with women, majority, not only women, but a lot of women. I'm putting actually a podcast about that now called Empower You Podcast. So the podcast is going to be about empowering people and embracing who you are the way you are. So the photographs, the job I do is, these women come for a photo shoot, everyday women, not model types, just everyday women, all sizes, all shapes, all ages, from 20s until the 80s. And a lot of the times are women that are suffering from some kind of like either body dysmorphia, just health related issues.
You're telling me that someone had their arm.
Yeah, I had I had a lady once that had a prosthetic leg. I'll give her that example. And she brought her husband to take the leg off, because every time we put it in a different pose, doing the photo shoot, he would have to take the leg off and put it back on. And I was, when she said I brought my husband, that's totally fine. Usually we don't have another person, but in this case. And, throughout the whole photo shoot, I kept seeing that leg being hiding. She didn't want to show, so we had to cover with the fabric. And I told her, what about if we take the leg off and just show who you are for real? In the beginning, she said, no. I said, I think it will be amazing. I think it will give you some kind of freedom. You're a beautiful woman. The leg doesn't define you, And her husband looked at me. I thought he was going to get mad. And he goes, I kind of agree with her. I think you should. Why we just try once? And she did. And then at the first shot that we did, I said, oh my God, it looks amazing. I showed her. And from that moment on, she says, yeah, I think I'll do it without the leg.
Exactly.
And we did the whole, I kind of get emotional. We did the whole entire shoot without the leg, the prosthetic leg. And she picked the big photo to put in an art piece, the one that she's laying down and it shows no leg.
And that, she had told me that story yesterday, and it touched me because people that have different diseases and different disorders, people who have different, like she was saying, they have the loss of limbs. I don't know if y'all watched the previous video, but there was a guy that lost his finger, and he was so loving about that and so funny about that. And I think it's something that we should appreciate who we are. And that goes a long way. Nowadays there's, whether you have a disease or a disability, it's extremely important to look at that as a gift. And that's something that I have always had a hard time doing. And it meant a lot that she said that. And it meant a lot that he's supporting me and everyone that's supporting me along this journey. It means a lot. Sorry about getting a little emotional, but I just want you guys to know, and Jacob, his son, there's a lot more to the story. And it's something that I'm going to continue to talk about. And his son inspired me in multiple facets. And when I met his son, I didn't even know that I had a mitochondrial disorder. And we didn't know exactly what was going on with Jacob fully. Some of these diseases are very rare. And the goal here is to bring awareness to these things, because I believe that if you believe that you can do something about it, that you can.
So let me just say something that little exciting. So Jacob really got into liking EDM, electronic music. And I inspired him because I used to like Above and Beyond quite a bit, and I used to listen a lot, and just music was just invigorating. And I told him, I said, Jacob, this kind of music brings out the best in people, the kindness in people, and maybe most of them are on ecstasy. I don't know, but everybody just seems to be in really good spirits. And so Jacob started to frequent these raves, and he loved it, and everybody just catered to him. Jacob has been on stage with Above and Beyond at a pool party, unbeknownst to me. My friends are telling me Jacob is going viral on Instagram at a pool party in Houston downtown. Like, what? And he was on stage with my favorite freaking DJ. So that was just Jacob. And so he wanted to go very badly to Vegas, and I said, absolutely not. That's too dangerous for you. But the Orlando EDC, I said, okay, I'll consider that. And of course Sheldon came around, and I said, you want to be the chaperone along with his nurses? And he said, absolutely, I'll go. So I can say that was probably one of Jacob's, I think it was probably his best trip ever. I really do truly believe it. And we won't go into the discussions about the girls that Sheldon brought home for Jacob to meet. That's it.
Yeah.
But there's more to that story. But overall, you're just a kind soul. And one thing that that really means a lot to me is you make Jacob feel normal. That's all he ever wanted. Jacob wanted to have a girlfriend and be treated like he was not on a ventilator, and you did that for him. Not the girlfriend part, but you just made him feel normal, and I think that's all he ever wanted. And he's been gone now for almost 6 years, and just I really feel like there's work to be done on behalf of Jacob's legacy, and I am doing some stuff, and you'll hear about it eventually. But I believe that you and I preface this because it was brought to my attention, but I want to help people just as much as you do, and it's people who fell through the cracks like I did. People with addiction problems, marital problems, children that are disabled, eating disorders, just overall everything that I've been through in my life. And I see what you're doing to bring awareness to your illness and those others while you're doing this walk. And so the point I'm trying to make is that we're both headed in opposite directions, doing different things, but yet the end point is for the betterment of others, and so I truly respect that about you. And I know that this is just the beginning for us. I truly believe that. So I'm really proud of you. Thanks for coming, inspiring me continuously, and I'm watching every video. And one thing I'm going to say, we need to pay attention to these videos because he's showing that there's compassion out there, there's kindness amongst all of us, and he's bringing the best of these people. These people aren't on TV. They're not the ones, I call them the forgotten ones. These are just normal, average people having their own issues daily, and you're bringing them to light. And it's very powerful for someone like me because it makes me realize that there are people out there really struggling. And what you mentioned is that we're also, the media, everything tries to divide us, but the fact of the matter is there are just kind people. The stuff that people have done for you, I truly believe. And there's a movie, Book of Eli, and I really feel like you're living that because God is putting people in your path to help you get to where you need to be. So just know that you can call me anytime, and I don't give a crap if you're stuck in Nebraska, and South Dakota, North Dakota. If you need help, I'll be there. All right?
And I'll be together.
I appreciate you guys.
Thanks for joining us, and thanks for coming, buddy. It's been a pleasure.
You're definitely one of a kind. You're an amazing person, Sheldon. What you're doing is just, I told you, you're making history. I don't think you know the extension of what you're really accomplishing with this and how many lives you're touching. I know it's also a transformation for yourself, but while you're learning about you and you're going deep inside, you're also touching so many lives like Jake just mentioned. And I'm curious, since you told me, ask me some questions. I think everybody wants to know, what inspired you? Like, how did you, I know you told me I had to do it. There's something calling me. And what inspired you and what you want to accomplish with this? Because I think, I don't want to get emotional also, but I think you're doing something bigger than just the mitochondrial disease, not population, how would I say, community.
Yeah.
But I think you can touch so many other people's lives. So many others that are struggling, not even with the disease, just sometimes struggling with life, struggling, seeing you so happy, a guy that, went to school, a nice neighborhood and all of that, and it's humble enough to just be living the day and appreciating every single thing on the road when you're walking, appreciating people. I think it's an inspiration for a lot of people, young, older, people going through depression, people going through anxiety, with doubts in their mind what to do. I think one of the things that I really want to talk about when I do the podcast is like empowering people to believe in themselves. Anybody can do anything they want if they put the faith into it. No matter if they have a disease. Look at Jacob. He wanted to be normal. Jake always treated him as normal. No, not like his how do I say, that never defined who he was. And the same with you. you could be in a bed crying, or just, at home, just feeling sorry for yourself, and yet you are out doing this amazing walk and inspiring just us and everybody else that is watching you. And I really hope this goes like crazy viral, so people can see the good and how you can do whatever you want in life no matter what's happening. And I would like to ask you about that. Just tell me how the idea came, how you couldn't hold yourself, you had to do it, and what you want to accomplish, like in the end of the walk. What do you want to feel, and what do you want to see happening?
Yeah, that's a good question. I had this thought 9 years ago. 10 years ago. It's a little rough estimate, and I pitched it to different people. And at the time, it was meant to be, and I love those people dearly, but I didn't have. It wasn't something that everyone believed in, which I completely understand. That's why what I'm doing is a little crazy.
It is a lot crazy.
And,
Not a little.
Yeah, and you can't get crazy results without doing something, crazy, right?
I love that.
But I also want to preface that with, I'm going to do everything I can to be as safe as possible on the walk, but there is dangers, and all I can do is have faith that if I'm doing my best, if I have faith that I'm doing my best and that my heart's open to receive goodness, and that's as far as I can go. But yeah, so 9 years ago I had the idea and I pondered. I worked with different companies. I worked on wind turbines. I general managed a small hotel. What else did I do? I did sales. I worked at Burger King. She has an extremely amazing story when it comes to being an immigrant and working your way to interviewing. I think Giorgio Armani was that.
One of the people that
and that was also inspiring. And so I had the idea 9 years ago, pondered, did different things. And why am I doing this? Because as a whole, I think when you've suffered in life and you've made a lot of mistakes, and you start to realize that doing the right thing is the right thing, and I want to do my best to end suffering, because I don't like seeing it when there's solutions that I could maybe solve. And I have a better point. About a year ago, I had 2 stroke-like episodes. I was in and out of the hospital. I was living in a situation where I don't think anything could get worse. I mean, my breathing, I was burning, I was, I couldn't communicate or get out what I wanted to speak. And what kept me going through that was I said, you know what, I went through a little bit of I think all of us sometimes go through like a suicidal stage in our life. I think everyone goes through why am I here? Should I be here? Sort of mentality. And what kept me holding on was I realized that I was useful. And when you realize you're useful and you realize you can fill in a gap and you're not seeing it happen, I was like, man, but and I pondered on that a while. I saw my place in the world, and I couldn't. I'm sorry for being emotional, but I couldn't. I couldn't let I couldn't let me pass up on that opportunity of being useful and helping others and showing that you can do anything in any circumstance, and in that, we have to work as a team here. And so I just want to bring awareness when it comes to mitochondrial diseases in general. I want to show the world that it's a great place to live in. I want, there's people out there that are good, and it is extremely beneficial, I think, in showing what's out here. Because sometimes, like Jake was saying, we get in our life and we get so like this, and so I want to bring awareness to the world about different diseases. I want to end suffering, and I want to show that the world's a good place. And I also, after this walk, there's a lot of things that I want to do and research and places that I want to go, and I want to spread the word about some of these things in other regions, because I believe a lot of these things can be cured. So yeah.
Well, I just want to say something to your parents and all the adults out there. I've told this guy time and time again, this is probably the worst time to be walking across Texas. And there's an episode, I think it was probably the third day. This guy is in 115-degree weather on the side of Highway 45, drinking a drink, and on the side of the road. And I thought to myself, what is this guy doing? And he walked 18 miles that day, and there was a point where I know for a fact he was dealing with heat stroke, because he was talking about being cold when it's 93 degrees in a building. So needless to say, I got on him, and I told him, you got to be safer than this. Your body never had a chance to cool down. You're sleeping outside. So I'm going to stay on and watching you on a daily basis, and just be very careful. But yeah, obviously, if you need anything, we're here for you. Love you, man. I really do.
At the moment that you sat in front of me yesterday and we started talking, I don't even know the word to describe. I told Jake yesterday, I don't know the word to describe how I'm almost like what word could I use? Like, I'm so...
He's beyond inspiring.
Yeah, I literally, the moment that we started talking, I love you already. Like, fully, like a mother. Today I woke up and I made him eggs. Like a mother.
She's so caring. She's like, when it comes to the type of eggs, I said, if it's an egg, I'll eat it.
But I felt like, I felt like I wanted to hug you like a son, And the same as Jake, like I'm here for you anytime, for a talk, to walk together, to go get you. But I know one thing. I know there are a lot of people worried about you're walking by yourself, but in the Bible it says, you shouldn't fear anything, nothing. You when you believe and when you have faith and when you're a good person, you attract others. Even if a person is bad and it comes to you and starts talking to you, I'm 100% sure that they won't do any harm to you.
You've already experienced that, so yeah, you know that. So, but it's pretty inspiring to see some of the people you've come across and people that you would assume that wouldn't help you, that have helped you. And
yeah.
It's beautiful to see that happening, because we don't see that on a daily basis, and you're bringing that to light. There's more than what you're doing, bringing awareness to this disease. You're showing me a lot too, inspiring me a lot, and it makes me want to push harder for what I'm trying to do for others. So we'll do it together. All right?